It's Saturday night, 8 o'clock. You've just finished your shower, put on that old t-shirt that's been washed soft over time, and tied your hair up casually, or maybe you didn't even bother. The living room lights are dimmed to a warm yellow, the curtains pulled tightly shut. Your phone lies on the other end of the couch, screen facing down, on silent. You've already lost count of how many times it's vibrated. On the coffee table sits a bowl of freshly made instant noodles, a cold can of Coke beside it. On your computer, a show you've watched countless times is playing. You curl up on the couch, legs folded, a blanket draped over your knees. Outside, there's the sound of traffic, the occasional honk, distant laughter from someone else's home. But in your world, there's only the glow of the screen, the steam rising from your noodles, and a kind of quiet comfort you can't quite put into words. At that moment, your phone lights up again. You glance at it from the corner of your eye. It's a friend asking, "Want to grab a drink?" You stare at the message for a few seconds. In your mind flashes the whole sequence: changing clothes, putting on makeup, going out, getting a ride, finding things to talk about, smiling, pretending to be interested, and then dragging your exhausted body home late at night. Just imagining it already drains your energy, so you type 2 words, "Not tonight." Then you flip your phone over and keep watching your show. No guilt, no anxiety. In fact, there's even a tiny bit of relief. But maybe you've also wondered, why do others always seem full of energy, always going out, while you just want to stay in this small space? Why is it that you're not sick, not depressed, not someone who hates everyone, yet you're more and more drawn to being alone? Society loves to label staying in antisocial, awkward, socially anxious, cold, escaping reality. But only you know the truth. You're not running away from something. You're moving closer to something. You're moving closer to a thing called peace. Have you ever considered that you weren't always like this? Once upon a time, you were the one who always showed up. A friend called at 2 a.m. after a breakup. You answered. Family members argued and asked you to meet. You stepped in. A colleague dumped their mess on you. You gritted your teeth and finished it. You were like an emotional sponge, absorbing everyone else's negativity, then processing it alone. In the middle of the night, you told yourself, "It's fine. It's what I should do." They're friends, family, until one day you suddenly realized you had given so much, yet hardly anyone ever asked, "Are you okay?" When you were sick, no one brought you medicine. When you were sad, you scrolled through your contacts and didn't know who to call. When you finally needed help, all those people you had helped were just busy. So you made a decision, not with a big fight, not by blocking or deleting anyone, but by slowly pulling your hand back. You started not answering certain calls, not replying to certain messages. You started saying, "I'm not going." You began keeping your weekends entirely for yourself. You thought you would feel guilty, lo saberwan, be accused of changing, but you discovered that the world didn't collapse. Instead, it became quiet. Your energy no longer leaked out like air from a punctured balloon. You finally had the capacity to finish a book, watch a movie, or simply lie there and do nothing at all. The feeling was like walking through a noisy marketplace for a very long time, then suddenly pushing open a door and stepping into your own room, leaving all the noise behind you. This isn't being dramatic, and it isn't being overly sensitive. Your body understands what's happening better than you do. In neuroscience, there's a concept called neuroception. Your brain and nervous system are constantly scanning your environment in the background, judging whether it's safe, dangerous, or a life-threatening threat. When you've been drained, ignored, and taken from again and again, your nervous system quietly flips a switch. It shifts you from social mode into protection mode. What does that look like? Not wanting to reply to messages, not wanting to see people, becoming less sensitive to others' emotions, even feeling whatever about things that used to make you anxious. This isn't coldness. It's your body saying, "Enough. Now it's my turn to protect you." Even earlier, this pattern may have already been etched into you. Maybe as a child, you learned to read your parents' moods. The expression on their faces when they walked in, the way they stepped, the sound of them putting down their bags, you could instantly tell whether it was going to be a sunny day or a storm at home. You learn to be careful, to avoid causing trouble, to shrink your needs as small as possible, because you knew getting too close meant getting hurt. So you learned solitude early. In your own room, you were safe. No one would suddenly lash out. No one would joke about your pain. No one would manipulate you under the excuse of it's for your own good. That child who once sat quietly in the corner reading grew into an adult who enjoys staying at home. This isn't an illness. It's a survival strategy you designed for yourself. Some people worry, if this continues, will you end up completely alone? Will there come a day when you want to go out, only to find no one remembers you anymore? Let's make a distinction. A wall keeps everyone out. It doesn't distinguish between good or bad, real or fake. It comes from fear. A boundary is selective. You know who is worth opening the door for, and who should stay outside. It comes from clarity. If cutting off contact with someone makes you feel finally relieved, that's not coldness, that's your intuition protecting you. If declining an invitation leaves you feeling not like you missed out, but like I'm glad I didn't go, that's not antisocial. That's you respecting your own energy limits. You see? You're not incapable of socializing. You're just no longer willing to waste your time on relationships that drain you. Inside you, there is a very clear ledger. That friend who only contacts you when they need help with a group buy discount no longer click into their messages. That relative who complains about the same thing every time but never changes, you've learned to say, you decide for yourself. That colleague who doesn't care about your life and only treats you as an emotional dumping ground, you no longer reply instantly. You haven't done anything wrong. You've simply learned finally to put your own emotions before others' demands. There's a word people often confuse. Loneliness is wanting connection but not being able to reach it. It's an empty room and unanswered calls. Solitude is a chosen quietus, the space where you can finally hear your own breathing. What you have now is the latter. You're not sitting at home waiting for someone's message. You're sitting at home, finally free from waiting for anyone at all. Your phone is quiet, and that quiet makes you feel safe. You can spend 2 hours cooking a meal just for yourself without worrying about anyone else's taste. You can play one song on repeat all day without worrying someone will say, "Why do you listen to such old songs?" You can suddenly decide not to go out this weekend and actually not go without guilt, without explanation. This state isn't an illness. It's a sanctuary many people only begin to seek after spending most of their lives in noise. So I want to tell you, there is nothing wrong with you. You are not terminally socially anxious, not cold and unfeeling, not destined to be alone forever. You are simply someone who has had enough of being drained and has begun to seriously protect your own energy. You are simply no longer willing to trade people-pleasing for cheap relationships. In a world that encourages everyone to constantly move outward, you chose to grow inward. A 75-year Harvard study on happiness found that what truly makes people happy is not how many people they know, nor how many gatherings they attend, but having a few high-quality relationships. If your circle is small, but the people in it don't judge you, don't mock you when you're vulnerable, and don't treat your quietness as a problem, then you are not failing. You are succeeding. If you've ever felt lonely in a crowd, but at peace when alone, if you've ever been told, "Why are you so just because you didn't want to go out," if you're learning to put protecting your energy first, then I want to ask you for a small favor. Leave a word or a sentence in the comments. It can be homebody, "I feel the same," or a moment when you recently enjoyed being alone. For example, "Today I watched an old movie by myself, and it felt wonderful." Or, "I just declined an invitation, and I feel zero guilt." I will read every single one. Because in a world that encourages everyone to always be online, choosing to log off takes courage, and you already have that courage. Protect your space, protect your quiet, protect that corner of your heart that has finally found peace. You are not alone. At least you are not by yourself.